All right, today we're jumping into a really weird cosmic story. It's about a star that seems to be having a full-blown identity crisis.
Get this, one of the absolute biggest stars we know about is about to die. And I mean, it is right on the brink of total collapse. And you can bet it's not going to go quietly. And when I say big, I mean you have no idea. We're talking about a star that's something like 30 times the mass of our own sun. It is an absolute monster. But here's the really wild part. This whole thing could happen soon enough that we might actually get to watch it go down. I mean, this isn't just some abstract astronomy stuff. This is like having a front row seat to one of the biggest shows in the universe.
Okay, so let's meet our main character in this cosmic drama. Its official kinda boring name is WHG64, but let's just call it Jerry. And Jerry, well, Jerry is what you'd call a cosmic senior, a star that's right at the very end of its wild and dramatic life. So what exactly is Jerry? It's a red supergiant. Now, the easiest way to think about these is that they're giant stars at the end of their lives. They've burned through pretty much all their fuel, they've puffed up to this enormous size, and now they're getting ready for the grand finale, the big one, a massive explosion called a supernova.
And Jerry isn't just any red supergiant. It is an extreme case. I mean, it's only about 5 million years old, which, yeah, sounds old, but that's just a baby compared to our sun, which is 4.6 billion years old. But its size, just mind-blowing. If you could somehow plop it down where our sun is, it would swallow everything and stretch all the way out past Jupiter. It's nuts. And right now, it's just throwing off mass like crazy, wrapping itself in this thick cosmic blanket of its own dust. Okay, so we've got this giant, dying star. Simple enough, right? Well, this is where the story gets really weird, because Jerry seems to be having a bit of an identity crisis. You see, for decades, we thought we had Jerry all figured out. It was a classic, textbook red supergiant. Nothing weird about it. But then, very recently, something bizarre happened. Its light signature, you know, that unique fingerprint of light that tells us everything about a star, like what it's made of, how odd it is, it just completely changed. It's like we're watching a star evolve right in front of our eyes, not over millions of years, but like now.
It looks like Jerry has somehow morphed into something called a yellow hypergiant. And these things are super rare. It's this brief, really chaotic, unstable phase that some stars go through right before they completely destroy themselves. It's like the star is pacing back and forth, getting really antsy before the final curtain call.
And this really shows you just how big of a deal this is. Jerry went from being this cooler, pretty stable red supergiant, a common enough sight, to this hotter, totally chaotic, and extremely rare yellow hypergiant. This is not supposed to happen. I mean, you just don't see this every day. So that brings us to the big mystery, a cosmic whodunit. We've got a star that's changed its identity. Now we got to figure out why.
Right, so what on earth could make a star just switch things up so dramatically? Well, astronomers have a couple of leading theories.
Theory number one is all about stellar drama. The idea is that Jerry might not be flying solo. What if there's a secret companion star locked in orbit with it? The two could be in this intense dance where the smaller star is literally stealing stuff, gas and material, right off of Jerry. This cosmic theft could have forced Jerry to shed its outer, cooler red layers, basically revealing its hotter, yellow core underneath. Okay, but there's another idea. Maybe Jerry doesn't need a partner in crime. A star this huge could just become unstable all by itself. It might have had a gigantic eruption, one that lasted for decades, and what we're seeing now is just the star settling down after that huge outburst. So, that's the big question, right? Was Jerry pushed by a companion, or did it jump on its own?
So, to figure this out, we really need more clues. And, funny enough, the biggest clue didn't come from Jerry at all. It came from something completely different, the death of another star entirely. A sort of ghostly explosion that we just happened to catch.
You have to understand, catching a supernova right when it kicks off is next to impossible. They're super fast, totally unpredictable. It really is like trying to snap a picture of a lightning bolt the exact microsecond it strikes. The odds are just not in your favor.
But this time, they got so lucky. A star that actually exploded 22 million years ago, well, its light finally reached us. And astronomers were able to get their best telescopes pointed at it in under 26 hours. Now, that might sound like a long time, but in cosmic terms, that's basically instantaneous. It was the earliest, most detailed look at a supernova anyone had ever gotten.
And what kind of star was it that exploded? You guessed it, a red supergiant, just like Jerry used to be. This was a really big deal because astronomers have had this nagging problem for years. Their theories predicted we should be seeing a lot more of these red supergiants go supernova, but we weren't. It was almost like they were just vanishing before they got a chance to explode.
And that brings us to the big reveal, the shape of destruction. Because what they saw when they looked at this explosion, well, it pretty much changed everything.
So what did it look like? This never-before-seen, up-close and personal view of a star's death, what was its shape?
Now the expectation, what everyone thought they'd see, was a perfect sphere. You know, a beautiful, symmetrical ball of light expanding out in all directions. But that is not what they saw. Not at all. The reality was stretched out. It was shaped more like an olive or maybe a football than a perfect little marble.
In the words of one of the researchers, the explosion had structure right from the start. That's the key part. This wasn't some weird shape that developed later on. No, this lopsidedness was baked into the explosion from the very beginning.
And that weird shape, that's the key to the whole mystery. A lopsided explosion could totally explain why we thought red supergiants were disappearing. Think about it. If the explosion isn't a perfect sphere, it's way more likely that its light could be blocked by all the dust that the star was shedding. You know, that cosmic blanket we talked about with Jerry. So maybe they were exploding all along. We just couldn't see them from our angle.
And that brings us full circle, right back to Jerry. We've watched this star have a complete identity crisis, going from a stable giant to a chaotic mess. And now, thanks to the ghost of another star millions of light years away, we have a huge clue that its final act, well, it might not be what anyone expects. Jerry to go supernova anytime in the next few thousand years, which, believe it or not, is the blink of an eye in cosmic terms. So that leaves us with one last massive question. When Jerry finally does explode, what will the strange shape of its death tell us about the wild, chaotic life it's living right now?